He's at the front. Obviously, Razin takes pole position, but Ricky 03, credit where credit is due, P2. That is fantastic from him. But my personal highlight of the session, Concept 7. I don't know where that's come from. I don't know what kind of... well, there's a metaphor I could use, but I'm not going to. But the point is, I don't know what on earth he's done over this winter break, but he is immensely quick. P5, I think it was in the end, for the Williams driver. Absolutely brilliant. What a highlight.
You're right, but I think what's even more impressive is how early into the session he hit that time as well. We know track evolution happens in this game, and he got in there quite early, and I saw the time and thought that's probably going to go all the way down to 14th. That happens a lot of the time, but it stayed there consistently. So yeah, he's one to watch out from. Now, I heard you might have some clips that you want to show us.
I do indeed. I do indeed. Here at my control centre of Clipbook Corner. First of all, we head over to Eyes Amusing, one of our heroes in Commentary Corner. Unfortunately, though, his wheel became a villain very quickly. Because, as you can see, well, he unpauses, his wheel's still not working, and it is a brief smooch with Barry R, who does not play kindly to people whose wheels don't quite work properly. Next up, we go to Tiamat Marduk, because, number one, he had a very, very slick pit entry. So, as you can see, drifts in, locks up the brakes, still manages to hold it. That is absolutely sumptuous stuff. But then, he gets held in the pit lane. So, not only did he talk about Adam Sanderson being the number one as he pulls out of the garage, he's already getting the number two treatment, and it's only been one Inter's run. So absolute devastation for Australian sensation. This is the man of the hour, though, the pole man, Mr. Razin Chai, and really, his first qualifying lap was enough at the end of the day, but not by much. Still improved by the most minute of amounts, did everything he needed to do. As you can see, just using the racing line to help guide him on his way, but he never really broke a massive amount of delta. It was always supremely consistent, as we've come to expect from this man. At the end of the day, out of the final corner, his delta was down on his screen as he made that run towards the line, but in the end, the most minute of improvements is a mountain move for Razin Chai, as he is our first pole sitter of Season 12.
Fair play, that was good. I love that, Carl, taking us right there. So, okay, so we've got some people that we're going to look for in the race, but we've also got some other people that maybe didn't perform like the... Where was Fabio? In the bin. Terrible. Game over for him, right? That's it. Now that he's left Ferrari, it's just, he's washed now, right?
It might not be a race win today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to disappoint you. It's very interesting, though. I didn't get clips of it in the end, but I watched his first flying lap in that McLaren car. Of course, I feel like he still has loyalties to Ferrari because he ended up, well, let's say he just carved out his own track at the end of the day and he ended up about 6 seconds slower. So, all very interesting. Clearly still some heartfelt affiliation there.
Alright, we're going to head to the race, guys. We'll see you soon. The two Toms take it away.
Well, here we go, everybody. Formation lap underway for our drivers. 50 laps of Jeddah about to head your way here in Saudi Arabia. And as we said earlier, the grid well and truly stacked as Razin Chai already being, well, lovingly and effectively hugged, shall we say, from Karim 7T. And just a note on what we've heard from Scott Taylor. Obviously, Fabio is not any more washed than he was when he was at Ferrari. Maybe the rose-tinted glasses just helping out all of our people back at home. But Razin Chai surviving the opening corner chaos, unlike Ricky 03, Karim 70, Adam Sanderson, Eyes Amusing, Ryan L83, and Fantasy F1, who all have been disqualified from this formation and will start with ice-cold tyres. Good tyres and temperatures and all that malarkey. It's 20 degrees in the air, 22 on track, so not quite as hot as we've had a Saudi Arabian Grand Prix before, but certainly not as cold as ice.
100%. Interesting tyre strategies as well, with Raz and the pole sitter on the softs and the majority behind down to Grid Jokes on the medium tyres. Jarek Van Heffen in P16 going for the medium as well. Travelled over to England for our Williams tour, but we did think he was the furthest driver, the furthest person to travel all the way just to come home in 30. So a trip unworthwhile, it has to be said.
We got to spend time with friends and loved ones. That was the true meaning of Christmas. No matter whether you finish first or 13th, I'm sure you had an absolutely lovely time at Williams in Grove. And again, massive shout out to them for hosting us, who was absolutely lovely. More information coming through from Carl Baranek, our man with his ear to the ground. And we have been told Team Marduk has underfueled a lot. Welcome to Season 12 of Create Series 8, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely nothing has changed.
Putting all his eggs in the safety car basket. Hopefully they hatch them, otherwise it's going to be a little bit slow on the last 5 laps, either through some extensive lift and coasting, or because he's going to be trundling around in second gear because he's got no fuel left in his wagon.
Yeah, we've got the slowest poke competition going on at the moment between Safso and I believe a Haskart. That will be Jorik van Heffen. We are watching with Tuki just crawling up towards his grid box, making sure that he does not get there before anybody else. I'm not quite sure if this is to save tyre temperature or anything else, but let's run through the tyres though very quickly. Pretty much 99% of the field are on mediums. Team Harmonic Scotty Designs, by the way, and Raz in Chai, so that is front, back and slap bang in the middle, opting for the soft tyres with Adam Sanderson, the only driver starting hard here this afternoon in Saudi Arabia, to wait for the final cars to crawl up towards their grid boxes. We've got Season 12 about to get underway. Get your predictions in the live chat then, where you think this one is going to go. We've got all 20 cars on the grid then. Season 12 starts here, everybody. 5 lights lit. And the lights go out, and we go racing in Saudi Arabia. And it's a good pull away from Razin Chai, our pole sitter, but keep an eye on Riccio 3. Both Ferraris going side by side towards the first corner. Karim 17 wants to try and get involved with the X as well. Tuki's got past Vince. Team of Modded gets past Grid Jokes as well. The run down towards the opening sector of corners. 4, 5 and 6 now. The Super Noodle Bagel falling through the order. Falling is Ryan L83. He's out of the race, and we've got a virtual safety car.
Welcome back, everybody. Creator Series, here we go on the opening lap. Ryan N83's first race of Season 12, lasting all but 25 seconds there. Not good news at all. Perfect launch for Razin Chai, making the most of those soft tyres, blitzing it out of the blocks and putting over a second between himself and the almost scarlet civil war that we saw between Ricky and Lonanoba. And contrasting starts with the Red Bulls as well. Ben making the most of the softs to jump ahead of Grid Jokes. Adam Sanson struggling for grip on the hard tyres. Ice-cold hard tyres, dropping behind Fabio.
We're not quite sure which is worse. Ryan's driving an F125, whereas driving the Robo race. If you know, you know, and if you don't, ask Daniel Gilligan. I'm sure he'll give you an extensive update as to what that is. But as it stands, Concept 7, as the top 5, 6, 7 cars have not changed position from this race start. We've got the driver of Team Harmonic up 1. The biggest change, I have to say, Scotty Designs up to 15th place from 20th on the grid. 5 positions he has jumped. Fancy's up 2. Isaac Using and Matt 2-1-2. I wouldn't be surprised if they did not have damage at this point in the race after Ryan L83 bows out for an early shower.
Yeah, Matt definitely, after starting 13th, it turned out he was unlucky as he drops down into last on the road. Jumping over from one game to another can never be too easy, can it? This is quite a long virtual safety car as well. Razin still able to stretch his legs. There we go, fast lap of racing, the green flags flying. We can barrel down into turn 1 for the second time at full speed. And there's a big gaggle of cars in the midfield because Tuki on the button trying to take 5th place off the hands of Concept 7. There goes Dak Gummins launching it in, nearly off the circuit, clatters into Tim and Monica, who says, I'll have a piece of that, thank you very much, and picks the pocket of the Mercedes. And Vince, I think, just a little bit too ambitious there, trying to make up places on the restart.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mercedes had an interesting rejoin, shall we say, when they went side by side with Tuki. Tim and Monica, wander from down under, managed to make up a rather easy position for his liking up to 7th place, for starting on those softer tyres. They will be firing up significantly quicker than anybody on the medium, but let's not forget it is a long race here at the moment. 50 laps, we've already had 1 tour of the circuit so far, and Matt 2-2 down to 16th place, gets the better of Super Noodle Bagel, up to 16th down from 17th place, and now our driver starter fall into that rhythm. The first time we've gone through this section of corners at full racing speed with all the other cars on the circuit, so keep an eye on Razin Chai here. 2 seconds to the better of Riccio 3.
100%. No pressure on him at this stage because if Riccio 3 struggling, we spoke about almost Scarlet Civil War on the opening lap. Well, Lonanova very, very close indeed to the back of his teammate, less than 3/10 of a second now. Maybe challenging for that second place into the braking zone of the final corner, and indeed he does, as we do see the switcheroo between the Scarlet cars. Lonanova now holding second, will try and charge after Razin, who's making the most early on of these soft compound tyres compared to the medium of everybody behind. Seeing Tim at Mark sideways a couple of times. That Red Bull car looked a little bit nervous through the high-speed corners, but definitely keeping it pointing on the straight and narrow and trying to tuck into Tuki in front of him.
Just to keep an eye further back, look at that, infrating down the inside of Grid Jokes, who's got damage from right end plate missing before that kicks out. So we've had a few cars in the wars from this early stage of racing. Chappers F1 gets the better of Jorik van Heffen as well through that complex of 1, 2 and 3. But watching on board with Grid Jokes, you can just see, I think, the start of a struggle, I think, for the kicks out. They're overfueled, they're low on downforce at this moment in time. There are going to be those micro adjustments they're going to have to make to try and remain competitive with the cars that are continuing to plough through with all of the downforce on their cars.
car can feel like a boat on full fuel normally. When you take off or chip off a bit of your front wing, especially around a circuit like this, that is going to be not undrivable, but pretty close to uninspiring as you try and thread the needle through these very precise high-speed corners. It's got to be so delicate with your inputs. And already Adam Sanson now closing up to the back of the Sauber. It's not been a brilliant start for Gridjokes, has it? Maybe underperformed slightly in qualifying, could have been a little bit higher. And now with that little bit of damage early on, could fall out of this DRS train in not too many laps.
Oh, I'm just enjoying the helicopter shot as we head round Jeddah. It's absolutely stunning. One of the best camera angles in this game, and quite possibly in any racing game, is the camera shot. Ricciardo 3, though, side by side with his teammate Lolly Nova as they head through turn 27. I think the Ferraris maybe starting to work well together here this afternoon on the run down towards turn number 1. However, they are continuing to lose starting to Raz and Chai, albeit they could be differing on the tyre strategy. Tukey sets the fastest lap, immediately taken away but by the McLaren. That's weird to say of Fabio, as he goes fastest at 31.3. They're heading towards the first corner. Fabio not quite on the rear of Deco Vince quite yet, and that's Sasso getting the better of Chappers as well. Fantastic move from the V-car, managing to file his way through a time.
100%. Couple of drivers on the defensive. Interesting tactic from the Ferraris there. You remember on the previous lap, Lolly absolutely blasted past Ricky on the run into the final corner. Ricky wasn't close enough and then opting to sit behind into the final corner and into turns 1 and 2 as well. Ben's saying he doesn't feel like he's got the pace today, running fairly decently in 7th at the moment. And on the alternate strategy, we know there's one driver that's very canny and shrewd with his strategy, will roll the dice multiple times to try and find the right sequence. It is Tim at Marley.
Get the face cam just to keep an eye on where he's looking. You can see his eyes darting around the screen, left, right, keeping an eye on quite possibly everything that's going on as he has the both Ferraris in functioning well and truly in his grasp as they head in towards one of the most treacherous chicanes on this circuit. Don't try and go side by side at this moment in time, because I guarantee if you've watched F1 esports, it doesn't tend to end well.
Difficult to follow, especially with the Dirty. You saw Cream was absolutely nowhere near the apex of 22 as Ricky does fly back past his teammate, continuing to trade blows. The two Ferrari cars occupying 2nd and 3rd as things stand. Now Tim Lark, can he get the traction with the soft tyres out of the final corner, staring at the rear diffuser of a car that he used to be in, but not on this F1 25 game. The Ferrari swap places once again as Lolly takes 2nd place back of his teammate, and Ben, that'll be very, very easy down into turn 1. Tukey doesn't fight it, taking 6th place now behind the McLaren.
Gridjokes falling down the order. I think he might be in the pits then for Team Kit Sauber. He is indeed. That will be a front wing replacement. I'm almost certain of it, because there is no way a medium tyre runner is going that early into pit road. Though Lolly Nova, Ricciardo 3, both Italians still managing to work their way through the field. They still stand 2.2, 2.3 seconds off the back of Raz and Chai, but they have started to make inroads. They gained a couple of tenths here and there, but the tyres are going to be the all-important thing as they continue to run through this race. Those softs on the car of Raz and Chai will only continue to get worse until his inevitable pit stop when both Ferraris, both Italians, I'm sure, to the honour and, well, celebration of their chat, will take the lead of this race. It's inevitable at this moment, everybody.
100%. The pride of Italy. 2 Italians in the most famous Italian sporting institution, potentially leading the race in the season opener. As Ricky doing a bit of weaving there. Maybe he's trying to signal to his team at Lolly that he is planning on passing him again on the run into the final corner. So he can try and share DRS to stem the flow to Raz. And on the end of lap 5 at the moment, you'd expect the soft tyres starting to just equalise out with him, if not already worse than the yellow stripe medium tyres. Former champion of P4, Cream as well. Just happy to sit off the tail of the Ferrari, get dragged along in the DRS, just look after the front tyres in particular as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting to note about champions and drivers on the grid moment. First time in about 2 years, we haven't had a driver signed to a team on the Creator Series grid. Of course, both Tom and Fabio leaving their respective teams. GB not racing in a full-time seat at the moment. Who knows? Hopefully one day we will see that glorious, how do we call it, bald head anymore? The glorious head of hair returning to the grid. Raz and Chai, something about a Sunday morning stroll, I believe that was coming along from the team at radio. But also, one other fact, we've got the first time since season 4, I believe, we haven't had our previous champion on the grid here, Tom.
There's no Maraki going into this season after he performed brilliantly to take the season 11 champion on realistic cars, of course. Remember, for this season is Scotty Designs, by the way, I should say, taking a trip off the circuit through turn 12. We are back on equal performance cars for season 12 and most likely the foreseeable future. Raz and Chai, the lead just being whittled down ever so slightly, now 1.7 seconds between himself and the lead Ferrari, with Ricky just dropping off now ever so slightly, that gap sitting at just under 7 tenths.
We've had McLaren Gridmaster in the chat in Twitch asking, does anyone want to hear a joke? Yes, I absolutely do. Tell us the joke. No pressure. Quite literally everybody will hear this joke. If it's bad, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. Watch our ball over Tuki as he runs towards the back of our 2 times Creator City champion Team Marek as they run up towards turn 27. Can Tuki maybe think about a dive down the inside? Not this time around. As Rasen tried once again over Team Radio. Cars behind the game, no problem for us. He's well and truly happy, sat where he is, knowing that he will have to inevitably pit. I wonder if he'll pit as soon as the cars behind are in DRS range.
100%. Soft tyres definitely second best to the mediums at this stage, although Tuki dangled the nose down the inside of turn 1, opting to sit behind for the time being. Can't be too cautious and too tentative because you can see the gap between Ben and Concept in front of him, hovering around about a second. Don't want to have a big split in this DRS train, otherwise you might just get yourself a little bit detached and just find it slightly challenging to get yourself back in the ballpark with the group in front.
That's absolutely the worry. Oh, hello everybody. I didn't expect to come on camera there. That was an interesting one. But we have got a real diversification, I think, at the moment amongst our grid. We've got the split in the DRS train. If you look at Adam Sanderson, 2.1 seconds off the back of Fabio Tiramotic, teetering in that balance between 1 second and 9 seconds. He just needs to close that gap up and retake DRS control.
Yeah, hard tyres should come back to Adam as this stint progresses. He's done a decent job, to be fair. Still relatively in touch with the 9 cars in front of him. Obviously, Rasen did check out initially. He's about to fall inside the 1 second window to the lead Ferrari of Lauren Over. Ben just about clinging onto the coattails of the quintet in front. Concept 7, haven't mentioned the Williams in P5 at the moment, doing an excellent job at this stage, 7 laps into the first round of season 12. And you can see in the bottom right hand of the screen, that is Tuki finally taking 6th place off the hands again of Tiamat Marek. That's been a couple of laps coming as 3 doesn't trouble the apex at all of the final corner.
Concept 7 running incredibly well up in 5th place as they run down towards the first corner. This is an incredible drive from him. I must give him full credit. He's got a brand new sim rig, a brand new wheel setup as well. It's something that he has shared quite diligently on stream. As Tim Marek, Taco Vince having a good old scrap through the first complex of corners, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And it is Taco Vince still side by side. They run through those corners. Interesting to keep an eye on that battle. Yellow flag to flying. Who's that? That's Ben. Ben's in the wall.
Well, it takes 2 to tango. Was tussling with that Gavitz in the first sector. That can be a little bit of a tricky card to play, and he's found himself facing the wrong way, face first with the barrier, chipped off part of his front wing as well. And the former 2-time champion tumbling to 15th. With, you can see there, missing that front right end plate. Said he wasn't feeling particularly quick. Now with a very tall order to try and overcome that damage and get himself back into this race.
I think Ben would have been hoping and praying potentially for a safety car. And we've seen other drivers have dove in early, shall we say, for pit stops. That will be grid jokes and further down. The likes of Fancy F1, Super Noodle Bagel and Isaac using it as well. Team Mod across Team Radio. No one hit me, please. Oh, well, unfortunately, he's hasn't happened, shall we say.
Yeah, none of the cars hitting him, but he definitely had a chat there with Barrier. I think the lead might be changing hands for the very first time. To the outside we go with Lolonoba. Rasen not going to fight this one too hard, although he might be brave and breaks into the final corner, just keeps it in there on the inside, trying to make the most of what's left of those soft compound tyres. The 2 Ferrari cars going to double team the former Ferrari driver. Lolly will start lap 9 in the lead of the race. DRS for Rasen, DRS for Riccio 3. I think he's at least going to stay in second, thinking about taking the lead back down the inside into turn 1. Inside of 1 becomes outside of 2 for Rasen. Lolly's slightly wide, but I think he's just about got the high road. He does hold on to second place. Rasen not giving this one up though, darting all over the place. He'd be a brave man to send it down the inside of 4, and he does opt to just sit behind.
Yeah, he's giving the good, well, both Italians a run for their money at the moment. Rasen Chai still sat in second place, aging soft tyres. Let's not beat around that bush at the moment. The only other 2 drivers, Team Marek, who is becoming the opposite of Britney Spears, does not want Baby to hit him one more time as he stands down in 15th place. And Scotty Designs in 13th. Also on those soft tyres and no safety car to save Ben's bacon here. And Scotty Design does get the better. Well, I was going to say if you're Van Heffen, but I think he might have found the wall. We've got a full safety car this time around. And Joran Van Heffen, known for his recorder play, could have just saved Ben's race.
Safety car, safety line for Tiamat Marek there. And get himself back into the train. No front wing on the Haas car, so clearly had a tete-a-tete either with somebody or just a chat with the barriers going through turns 9 and 10 there. We'll bring Ben back into play. Good timing for Rasen as well, as those soft tyres were just starting to degrade and the mediums were in the ascendancy. Be interesting to see what strategy cars everybody wants to play. Adam Sanderson, you would imagine, will definitely stay out on those 8-lap-old hard compound tyres unless he wants to try and throw the dice to get himself maybe on a different playing field compared to his rivals.
This could be a key piece of track position for Adam Sanderson. As we said, started on the hard tyres, the only driver on our entire field that started on the harder set of tyres. And Jari van Heffen, part of Haas F1 team, just maybe testing out some technological advancements, the Droop Snoop, as you may want to call it, in reference to the good old Concorde. But in comes Lonnie Nova, in comes Razin Chai as well.
Look at Ricky.
Ricky stayed out, has he? Well, no, he's dropped so
back
far back.
Pack up to some tune. I know we talk about backing up to try and give yourself some space. The gap was 13 seconds as he comes into the pits, and the guys behind absolutely jot that they could do about it. Lolly out on the hard tyres, Razin on the medium. And then we have a long way to the group behind. But I think Adam Sanderson might be about to inherit the lead. It's touch and go. You can see with the Ferrari. I think, yes, Adam Sanderson staying out. Now your race leader.
Or not. Maybe not. Didn't quite make it to the safety car line in time. So Lonnie Nova, by all good graces from his teammate Ricky O3, manages to hold on to the race leads there. And I think Grim 17 probably shares the same sentiment, as does a lot of our drivers. That was an incredible distance for Ricky O3 to pull there, holding 13 or 17 seconds, as Grim says, backing up the pack in what was a great, well, degree of latitude, which allowed Lonnie Nova not only to hold on to P1, but Ricky to come out in P4 as well. Fantastic stuff. And probably the first time we haven't seen Ferrari bottle a strategy in a very, very long time. But all the pit stops have just been completed. Pretty much everybody's opted for the harder compounded tyres, with 4 drivers opting for the mediums. They will be Razin Chai, that guy Vince, we've got Team Mod, and we've also got Chappers F1. But we've done a little bit too much speaking. Let's throw it over to Carl, who's got his ear to the ground on what has gone on there.
Well, here I am. That was also quite unexpected, but here I am. So, first of all, lap number 1, Ryan L83. Let's put it this way, there have been slightly better first races to a season for some people, but how did it all happen? The answer is you're about to find out. So, side by side, with Eisen Music gets to the place, well done. He also goes for the move on Super Noodle Egg. However, he raced quite late into this corner, and by quite late, I mean very late. So, as you can see, goes down the inside of not 1, not 2, but tries to make it so nice he'd do it thrice. That's a bit too optimistic. Somehow doesn't DNF on the inside wall. Massive clobber, but it was just one too many as Eisen Music, well, seals the fate of Ryan L83. And that is rather unfortunate. In contrast, though, Tiamat Marduk on the soft tyres used them to great effect. Immediately got the traction down the inside of Grid Jokes, and while the safety car came out pretty quickly, again, just showing how those softer compounds, when they're in that early phase, when they're in that early operating window, they hold that advantage, and they work very well. 1 place gain, slingshot start for Tiamat Marduk. How did Grid Jokes get damaged? Well, you're about to find out. After the virtual safety car restart, got slightly caught napping, to be honest with you, but it was okay. Plenty of space ahead. Nothing should happen. I said nothing should happen in theory. Theory is one thing. Tarmac is another, though. He just misjudges the closing speed between Tiamat Marduk and that guy Vince, who actually went wide in the Mercedes. Narrows the angle for the second corner, and it's going to be front wing damage every day of the week. The lean green machine with a bit of a sore nose after that particular exchange. But this is the big one. Ben versus Vince. We'll head to Vince first, actually, because credit where credit is due. Brave and bold on the brakes. That guy Vince slingshots down the inside, knows he has the superior tyres. It's side by side through turn number 1. In turn number 2, just a slight bit of contact, but just about gets the power down. And now we move over to Ben, because well, his face cam was permanently super glued to this position, so he's looking down into stain, but it's okay. So, side by side, was 3 wide for a brief period, but this corner just about survived. It's this curb here, though. You always bottom out over it. It always spits you out. Whether it's a case of Vince leaving more space, whether it's a case of Ben just living to fight another day on that occasion, is a conversation for another day. The point is, bottoms out over the curb, contact with the right rear tyre, sends him phenomenally pirouetting and somehow not out of the race despite all that contact. But now, ladies and gentlemen, of course, his bacon has been saved. Safety car is out, it's neutralised, it's game on once again.
Well, safety car out, safety car in this lap is the latest news we've received from Race Control Car. Many thanks for giving us all the information from behind the scenes. You can see the tyre choices for all of our drivers there on the left-hand side. Who's going to have the pick as they head in towards lap 12 of 50, in towards the first corner, and it's all eyes under the lights here in Saudi Arabia. Lolly Noda crawling around turn 27. He knows he's got Adam Sanson with used tyres and uses them to his advantage. We go green flag racing for lap 12 of 50, and it's the Italian stallion Lolly Nova that launches towards the first corner. Razin Chai eyeing up his suspects of Adam Sanderson, Team Red Bull Racing. The Sanders was the first corner, little lock up from Tukey. Keep an eye here though, that guy Vince outside towards the inside for the second corner. Vince goes through, as does Sasso, who's now alongside Grid Jones. Perfect restart from both of them.
Buffet Racing, help yourself, as Grid Jones was a little bit slow there through turns 1 and turns 2. Going to be interesting to see as well how Adam Sanderson performs on this restart. Will he tumble like a stone through the field already? Nearly outside of 1 second of the Ferrari in front of him. Razin Chai got to get his skates on to try and keep that Scarlet Ferrari very much within arm's length. Ricciardo's 3, still in 4th, head of Cream 17. Is that the chance for Razin? Try to just get a foothold in that battle to try and run around the outside, maybe to 14 and 15, and put one over on Adam Sanderson. Just having to sit behind once again through these twists of the middle sector.
Itching and scratching to try and get past Adam Sanderson as they run down through the second sector. A series of tight and technical corners to try and navigate through, especially when you've got a car, used hard tyres at the front. That 2 and 2 are cold tyres. I have no confidence. Interestingly, he's come off the back of doing Daytona. It is the true Sonny Hayes story for Map 2 on 2 here this afternoon, as it is for Scotty Designs, by the way. Both of them running the Daytona 24 hours. Razin Chai later on the brakes, though, in towards the final corner on this circuit, turn 27. Couldn't quite get the traction out of the corner, but he will run down towards the first corner now. Side by side they go. No DRS until next lap. But Razin Chai retakes the position. Look at this, though. Ricciardo 3 late to the inside. Sanderson tries to squeeze him. They're 2 abreast as they go through the first corner contact. And Adam Sanderson goes spinning around. There's damage further back. I'm almost certain that Concept 7's got caught up in that. And that is drama for Sanderson.
The McLaren's nearly tripping over themselves as well. Cream definitely with damage. Also, I feel like Adam Sanderson, that was a battle he really didn't need to fight. Ricciardo 3 made his aspirations so clear that he was plunging it down inside of 1. Adam Sanderson tried to apply the squeeze. 2 commit a 3-second penalty off the road. Look at this, it's like NASCAR race because the McLarens do battle again. Vince Sasso as Adam Sanderson tumbling through the field. Tim Monaco is going to be hoping that he can make up for lost time. This little skirmish is going on, but still down in 15 as Vince now getting stuck in with Tukey on the exit of 13.
Sanderson continuing to fall down the order. The front wing damage on that car really not helping. We've been told Karim 70 also has wing damage. The car up in 4th place, somehow surviving for the majority so far. Chapper's trying to battle it out with Adam Sanderson as well for P11, which would still be points at the end of this race. Don't forget, top 15 scoring here in the F1 Creator Series. Side by side they go, but look, Sanderson being somewhat of a moving roadblock as Concept 7 up to 4th place now. He's found 7th gear, I'm almost certain of it.
Yeah, Kareem with that big damage. Will he try and stick it out? Will he dive into the pits and try and get the damage source? But he's got back past Concept 7, still dueling it out as around the outside of the final corner goes Tim Martin, putting one over on his now wounded teammate. Both Red Bull drivers picking up front wing damage so far. Still a big cascade of cars running down to turn 1. Infratic coming out of nowhere. Now finds his McLaren placed very nicely in P5. Tukey trying to follow through first at the expense of the Mercedes of that guy Vince. There's still Vince just about holding on, still side by side, as we've seen a number of times. Will be a brave man to chuck it down the inside of 4. Tukey perhaps wisely there, but creamed in the wall. Takes off his front left tyre, and the former champion is out of the race on the spot. Had the front wing damage, takes off his front left tyre, and we're down to 18 runners with a virtual safety car as well.
Well, Karim's just become a magician there. VSC being deployed. No full safety car yet. Bert Mylander refusing to come out of the pits, but I looked away for half a second. Karim became a magician and said, want to see a magic trick, and just disappeared off the grid. Are you serious? Really? Comes across team radio. I think there may be frustrations in that Aston Martin car, but this leaves it all up to Scotty Designs, by the way, to try and get some, points for Team Aston Martin as they continue through this series of races. Of course, this is only one race out of an entire Season 12 calendar. You can find all the rest, I believe, on all of our social media at Creator Series GG.
100%. Could also take a look at the full-time driver list for this season. Just a couple of reserves taking hand of their cars this evening, both of them fighting over the wooden spoon as things stand, XII Musing and Fantasy F1. But it's interesting, isn't it? A lot of the big names have had their trials and tribulations in the early stages. Cream 7T already out of the running. Tim McMark has had his scrapes and his skirmishes early on as well. Safso hasn't had a particularly clean run of it either. It's been the top three, really, with the exception of maybe Concept 7 as well, who did well, actually, to keep himself nice and neat and tidy after the calamities that were befalling the drivers in front of him when XII and Adam Sanderson did battle. The top four have done a really good job, and Fabio's just been picking up the pieces time after time after time, keeping his nose clean, and now finds himself in the top five as Yorit adds insult to injury for himself, picking up a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, that's a tough one to try and navigate through. Drops down the order as well. I think he immediately goes into the pits, and oh no, look at that. 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane whilst trying to serve his drive-through penalty for speeding on the VSC. Yorit has got a bit of a lead foot here this afternoon in Jeddah, as we watch with Chappers, who Ben's just dispatching as they run in towards the first section of corners. Nice and composed from both of our drivers. You can see all the penalties there on the screen. Scotty designed for the 10 seconds, and I didn't quite see that one come through. Maybe that came a little bit earlier on, but both Aston Martins having a hair raiser here in Jeddah.
Chapper's a bit all over the place there. Tapped the barriers once and then twice, I think, as well, going through turns 8 and 9. Scotty, I believe, picked up that 10-second under the full course safety car quite early on. I didn't quite catch what actually happened, but that's been looming and lingering over his head ever since. The top two have absolutely checked out. Ricky now 5 seconds almost off the back of Raz in Chai. If we don't see any more safety cars, which, you know, don't count your chickens just yet. I think we could be seeing one, maybe two more in the remaining 35 laps. These two in a straight shootout at the moment. Lolly versus Raz in Chai. The championship leader, Lolly, of course, with that point for intermediate pole, as emphatic on all the wrong parts of the racetrack there through 23, 24 and 25. I think Vince is going to lap that one up on a silver spoon and does pick up 5th place for his troubles.
Absolutely. So you can tell it's been Christmas, hasn't it? We've had 15 laps of racing, over half the allotted safety cars, which is a total number of 5. We've had 3 of them ready. So fingers crossed, hopefully only 2 more to see this race out. We're not even at half race distance yet, everybody. Calm your chickens, hold down your horses as we run down towards the first corner for the 16th time this Grand Prix. Matteo 2 gets the better of Chappers. Who was that? That was Fabio just going late on the brakes, potentially just tapping the rear of that guy Vince, but thankfully no damage to talk about at the moment. Back up the front starting to hot up as well. In trying to start to close up towards our Italian stallion with Lolly Nova, who still stands firm up at the top. 6-lap-old hards versus 6-lap-old mediums. The question now is going to be, where do their tyre strategies go? Are they going to try and extend things as long as they possibly can? Are they already banking on another safety car?
It's interesting because it's divergence again. We saw it in the opening stint, Razin on the softs, Lolly on the mediums, and by the time we got to it, when the safety car got called out, it was Raz that was struggling on the softs. I can't speak Italian or read Italian, so I'm going to let everybody else to use Google Translate in the chat to work out what's being said there. I'm just going to say, well done, Lolly, for whatever it is that has been written there.
More yellow flag, second sector, who's had a bit of an accident there. It looks like the Alpine of Fantasy F1. There we go, you can see him pointing the wrong way. Well, the fortunes weren't favouring the Fantasy here this afternoon at the moment, down in 18th place, but thankfully, no safety car. I do remember writing that fun factoid that we saw up on the screen. It was something about if you're making a ragu sauce, make sure to have red wine on hand. Not to put in the sauce, just to drink as you prepare it.
Or to make it taste nicer. I don't know how Lolly's cooking is, but might not be very good, and he wants to just try and drown his sorrows if it is a little bit disgusting. Still, battles going on in the midfield. A Super Noodle Bagel ahead of Adam Sanderson, who I believe is still wounded after that tete-a-tete between himself and XII. Big armful of opposite lock coming out of the final corner. I think XII Musing going to help himself here. Less downforce for the Red Bull, courtesy of the front wing damage, but the drive and the run and the overspeed that the Sauber's got means that is not a contest down into turn 1. There's a big lock up for Super Noodle Bagel as well. Off the circuit we go, 3-second penalty chucked into his face as well, but does hold on to the position for the time being.
It's interesting that Adams decided that front wing damage is worth trying to bear at the moment instead of taking a pit stop under green flag conditions. Well, speaking of penalties coming people's way, this Fantasy gets a 10-second one for speeding in pit road. I wonder if it's time to throw it over to our resident man with his ear to the ground. Mr. Carl Paranek, what have you got for us?
Good question, let me tell you. So, let's firstly highlight... Okay, look, let me just preface this by saying I have seen sense in my time in the clipbook corner, and then I've seen what was committed. So from Adam's perspective, this is what it looks like. On the run to lap number 13, Razin inevitably was always going to get Adam. A bit of a moving chicane given the age of his tyres, but even so, Ricky goes to the outside, then goes to the inside, faints the dummy, sends it absolutely divinely. Adam does turn a little bit left. You can see the egregious lockup on the front right tyre from Ricky. So not exactly ideal, but it's worse here because Ricky just does not leave any space at all. You could fit basically the width of an A4 piece of paper, and that still wouldn't be enough to describe the space Ricky had left. Adam gets clobbered up in the contact. Kareem, the innocent bystander, who actually had the best seat in the house in terms of all the action. I'm just looking curiously at the bottom left, excuse me, to make sure that it's not happening, because that seems to be the route we're going. But Adam absolutely taken out. I mean, Ricky's almost off the track himself, given how much he locked up his tyres. Kareem goes as far opposite on the lock to the right as he could. Just nothing he could do. Super unfortunate, and if that wasn't bad enough, issue was exacerbated on the next lap. Overtaken by Concept and Fabio. No surprise given the nose damage, but this corner was the one I wanted to highlight. Pre-race, I was watching Lolino's point of view, and he had pretty much an identical crash at this corner. He did have a full front wing though, so determine who has the biggest skill issue. But Kareem 17 makes his way over towards the left-hander, and you can see it is just the most gentle of nudges on the inside wall, but even so, that kind of crash always shears off the left front tyre. A desperately unfortunate race for Kareem 17. But as we saw last season, round one drops a bit of a howler, but we always know he can come back.
Wow, Mr. Pirani, thank you as always for the up-to-date information from behind the scenes. And I'll tell you one thing for true, Kareem 17 I think might be starring in a Lemony Snicket model book in the next few weeks. A series of unfortunate events it is going to be called, and that is what has happened to our resident superstar in the Aston Martin team this afternoon. Keep an eye though, Daco Vince gets the better of Concept 7. Keep an eye on Fabio, who might try and move very similar to what we saw earlier. Oh my goodness, squeezing one another, but they are too wide through turns 1 and turns 2. Can Concept try and hold on to the man that swapped Scuderia for Papaya? No, Fabio gets his way through, stands in P5 at the moment. I think we are going to start to see a charge from Infratic.
Punchy stuff, and at the moment there's definitely a podium position on offer for somebody if they want to try and grab it with both hands. Ricky has occupation of third as things stand, 3 seconds ahead of this dueling little scrap from fourth, down into ninth with Tim McMahon just arriving on the scene. You can see in the back of shot there on the run into turn 13. Ricky can probably count himself a little bit lucky to still be in the position he's in. We saw that tete-a-tete between himself and Adam Sanderson. Both of them, realistically, I think unnecessary is the best way to describe that. Both of them could have made lives a little bit easier for themselves and one another, and eventually it was Adam Sanderson who was perhaps unfortunately the one that came off significantly second best.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Wilkinson. Put that in the non-fiction section, because that is pure facts, ladies and gentlemen, as we run through lap 19 of 50. Rasen Chai now has an opportunity to try and challenge Lottie Nobert for what will be our race lead. Turns through 27 and the run down towards turn 1 begin. You can see Fantasy F1 just slightly ahead of them as they break down towards the first corner, but Rasen Chai has the DRS, he's in the move and on the groove. Other way round for some countries, but no, not this time around, as Rasen just happily to sit patiently behind our Italian stallion Lolly Nobert.
With a lapped car in the way, so I think that is Fantasy getting that. Going to have to get out of the way quick sharp as there goes Infratic again. Down the inside on the previous lap, around the outside on this lap. And that is now P4 in the clutches of the Papaya and Chrome McLaren of Fabio, disposing of Vince and Concept, desperately trying to follow in the footsteps of the Portuguese man in front of him, just to tap the wall on the entry into turn 4. But still, look at that, sternly examining the rear geometry of that Mercedes car with Tuki a further 0.6 per second back. Then you've got Tim McMahon, who in all of this kerfuffling that's been going on has disposed of his former teammate Sasso up into P8, albeit both of them now dicing and dueling through the first sector.
Sasso starting to find some pace here this afternoon. Let's not counteract his arguments, because he is P9. He is only half a second off the back of our two-time champion, albeit a one-time champion in his very own right, winning season 1 of the Creator Series as they file through that very tight and technical section. Just to note that Adam Sanderson still has not hit with that front wing damage. For whatever reason, maybe his engineer's on holiday and not quite called him in there, but certainly was not a challenge for Tim McMahon to get past Sasso on this occasion. I think he knows that it is not his race to be run at the moment.
100%. Interesting that Adam Sanderson has decided to stay out on that, taking a lot of pain at this stage of the race. Pretty much last, Fantasy 57 seconds off the back of him, but got absolutely no front grip at the moment. Adam had his contract cancelled for team receding races. Now his dreams of becoming an Australian model have come to fruition. There's not a lot of forestation around where we are in Jeddah currently racing, but I can tell you what, a lot of decent forestation happening on the top of his head.
Absolutely right. Fabio once again looking to the inside. Oh, very late on the brakes there was our resident Papaya McLaren. But Dagko Vince had it figured out all along. Didn't realise how to, well, didn't really have to move out of the way in the slightest. As Concept 7 still follows them through, but this is allowing the likes of Tuki, Monica Safso to try and pull their way forward to make this trio a sextuplet of cars that make their way through on lap 21 of 50, approaching this halfway point in our very first race of season 12. All of our drivers very much being thrown in at the deep end, one of the hardest circuits on the calendar, in my opinion, not to end up in the barrier.
100%. Need to think about the tyres as well. The Super Noodle Bagel with a 3-second penalty, his second, I believe, of the race so far. Dagko Vince on the mediums, as his teammate Marcus cruising up to the back of the McLaren of Tuki. Everybody else in this scrap on the hard compound tyre. So at this stage, you would still think the mediums just about in the ascendancy. That's why we're seeing the swapping of places between Vince and Infratic as this stint extends, and as we see how things begin to unfold, you would imagine that Infratic, the two McLarens in there, Concept 7 as well, will just start to take that ascendancy back and get into a better position, and maybe Vince will find himself dropping a little bit further back in this train.
You're absolutely right. This tail in this race, I think, as well, will be a question of penalties, because you can see them dotted around our drivers. The highest runner at the moment, Tuki, with 3 seconds to his name, a whole host of penalties, if there and everywhere. We've got the driver down in 18th place, Fancy, with 16 seconds, Swift Designs with 13, and 10 still to Yard. Of course, they have not pit since they picked those up. But Dagko Vince gets past Fabio towards the first corner, and that trio well and truly now a 6-car scrap for 4th place, but the gap up towards the front is 3 seconds to Ricky, a further 9 seconds to that front 2 battle between Lolly Nova and Razin Chai. They are not going to make it light work for either of those 2 drivers. They're slowly starting to lose time to the second Ferrari that runs in 3rd place.
Yeah, Ricky massively in no man's land at this stage. 9 seconds now, the gap to the duo in front, and still hovering around 3.5 seconds to this dicey battle, this dicey group behind us. Grid Jokes picks up a 3-second penalty for corner cutting. I think they're going to start coming thick and fast as we get into the back stages, the back end of this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, with drivers just treading on eggshells ever so slightly. Yellow flag is out. I'm not 100% sure why.
Full virtual safety car. Well, here we go then. Who's dropped it? Let's see if we can figure it out from the timing.
I'm looking, trying to do some investigatory work here. I can't see anybody stationary as Ben and Safso swap places. This might be the job for Clipbook Carl to try and find out what's gone on here. It's a mystery, like a Yeti, isn't it? We have no idea what's gone on.
No, Ben's dropped back to 9th place, but I can't see any damage on his car. I did see Eyes Amusing dropping off once again, changing positions as Safso as he goes off the grid. I think inadvertently lets Grid Jokes go, who was just going to follow the train and see him running, and through he goes. So Safso up to 9th, 10th down. Eyes Amusing's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under virtual safety car. We're green flag racing again, and in comes Razin Chai.
I think that is timed at exactly the wrong point for him. He dives into the pits as the green flag comes out again, so he's not really going to gain any real advantage over London over here. Fancy retiring from the race. I believe that is in the pit lane, as Razin is going to tumble a little bit here into the mid-pack. He'll try and find a nice bit of space. I think he'll be in and around map 2 on 2. You can see the Mercedes there powering down on the run into turn 1. Hard compact tyres strapped on, and he is indeed just behind his teammate Safso ahead of map 2 on 2. Some overtaking then for the Season 5 champions to try and pull off here.
Not a bad pit stop there from Razin Chai, albeit not getting as much of that slower running as he was probably hoping for. He only got a couple of seconds, if that, by the time that he managed to get that V-Carb car into pit road. He does come out in 10th place, albeit with a little bit of an advantage over Lolly Nova. The question will be, are we going to see an Italian return? Safso lets his teammate through. That is absolutely key, and Razin Chai has handed a free position.
That is one ticked off already. You can now try and cruise up to the back of Grid Jokes. Things have just fanned out a little bit for the first few cars, at least, that Razin needs to try and dispose of. Grid Jokes, no DRS. Ben with no DRS at this stage as well. And then you get up to the 2 McLarens, Vince and Concept 7 scrapping it out as well.
They absolutely are as they progress through. Razin Chai has got Tim Ruddock, as you said, Grid Jokes in 8th place. Still with that penalty, as is Tuki in 6th. Concept 7 and Fratic, those drivers will be the ones that you have to try and get past the first time of asking. Here comes Fabio, though, down the inside in towards turn 27. He might have been a little bit eager on that, because the DRS activation point is at the exit of the corner, and this can allow Dagko Vince to get a good run down towards the first corner, rearing open for the Mercedes car, and Fabio can almost immediately lose the position back. Let's have a look here, side by side, and does so. If Fabio had waited, he would have easily got that position there.
Absolutely nout that he could have done about that on the run down into turn 1. Vince taking 3rd place back off his hands. Interesting to see how quickly Razin can work his way through this pack. You would expect that if there aren't any more safety cars, he can take those hard tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. So he's going to be getting a massive undercut on the two Ferraris, Lolinova in particular. But then if he rolls reverse in the back end of the Grand Prix, Lolly on the fresher tyres trying to hunt down the race leader, you would imagine, will be Razin.
You're absolutely right. It's going to be a tale as old of time and a tale of two cities if you really want to stretch out the imagination. Razin Chai in 8th place with only a second and some change up towards Team Monaco, 2-time champion here in the Creator Series. Everybody else just standing on guard. Nobody has bit compared to what Razin Chai has attempted slightly earlier on. Maybe he feels he can get to the end of the race on these tyres. 26 laps on hard tyres. Certainly not unheard of, Tom.
Definitely not. It's definitely the strategy that I think he's probably trying to pin down and go for to give himself the best opportunity at winning this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Of course, Lolinova, intermediate pole in qualifying. He is now the out-and-out championship leader. 1 point compared to 0 for everybody else on the field as we watch the battle for third continue to rage on. Mercedes, McLaren, Williams, McLaren behind them. It's Razin Chai disposing of Tim and Monaco. I think that would have been fairly regulation, yes, with the helping out of the DRS. That is Razin, the pole sitter, up into 7th now, chasing after this quartet.
That is going to be the question. No one still bites this time around. Fabio gets past that guy Vince, though this time waited. I'm almost certain of it for the DRS to come his way. Razin Chai sets the fastest lap on a new set of hard tyres. Fabio going Tokyo drift here in Saudi Arabia. The rear end of that Mercedes stepping out on him through the second corner. Scotty Designs, by the way, up one past Chappers F1 as well for 12 points. Sorry, 12 points, 12th place at 14 Aston Martin, albeit with that penalty to his name, or penalties, should I say. He will drop considerably down the order. Wentz that won the final classification comes into fruition. Super Noodle Bagel gets the better of Jorrit van Heffen as well. Teammates swapping positions left, right and centre.
100%, but it is only for the final points-paying positions down in 14th and 15th, respectively. Concept 7 still sternly examining the back of that guy Vince's Mercedes. I think he's going to have to looking in his rear-view mirrors fairly shortly, along with Tuki, because Razin Chai arriving at a rapid rate of knots already in the DRS range of this group of cars. Ben trying to get dragged along as best as he possibly can, but he's now 1.3 seconds off the back of the Season 5 champ, so going to have to do the work all by his lonesome, get back up into the same ballpark as this 4 in front.
Can our drivers hold on to their tyres? If we could get a reminder up on the screen, that'd be much appreciated for everybody at home, just to see what tyres everybody is still running here halfway through the race, halfway through round 1 of Season 12 of the Creator Series. And it is going to be pretty much hard tyres for everybody under that last safety car. Some drivers opting for the mediums, of course, and Adam Sandon finally he pits.
He's laid those tyres to rest. He's got a new front wing on. He's going to be feeling all good about himself. As look at that Razin just showing the nose to the inside. Tuki reacting to it, trying to hold firm in 6th for the time being. But all over the show as here comes the Season 5 champion. Got a foothold in this battle. It's going to have to be the outside of turn 4. Is anybody going to back out? It's the McLaren of Tuki on the inside, just about keeps it out of the wall, as Razin just about keeps it between the white lines. Excellent move there from the Season 5 champion. That's one ticked off the list, up into P6, 3 more to go.
Surely if you're either of the Italians at the moment, you are quaking in your boots at the pace that Razin is starting to lay down. You well and truly know that he is going to be able to get you should you dive into the pits at this moment in time. Lolinova, Ricky 03, both will be talking to their respective engineers, discussing where the strategy goes, because at the moment I'm almost certain they've got to be banking on another safety car, because that will lessen down the pit stop to roughly around 12 or so seconds, which would give them just enough headroom to come out ahead of Razin Chai if they manage to manage the delta perfectly. And the question still remains, which way is this going to go? Let us know in the live chat as well. Let's not forget that, as Jorrit picks up a 3-second penalty. Who you are rooting for, who you think is going to win this race here this afternoon. Will it be either of the Italians? Will it be someone else entirely? Let us know.
Look at this man, Razin Chai, now up into P5 around the outside of Concept 7. That was very, very easy indeed, as Adam Sanderson on his soft tyres taking the fastest lap away from the Season 5 champion, currently in position number 5. What Razin's done by pitting just as the BSC came in, yes, he didn't gain any realistic time because of the delta that drivers would have been adhering to, but he's given himself so much flexibility strategy-wise. In regulation conditions, he's about 2 seconds a lap faster than the 2 Ferraris in front. He can either try and charge up to the back of them on fresher tyres and then react to what they do, or he'll have a massive undercut. If the Ferraris choose to go long, he can do that as well, or he can react to them in pit as well.
You're absolutely right. Let's look at the tyres he's used early on. He started on the soft tyres, did 9 laps on those, went 13 laps on a set of the mediums, and now stands 4 lap old hard tyres. So if my maths is correct, he'll have a brand new set of be the mediums or hard tyres to go to the end if he wants to try and pit again. Should we see another safety car? If not, the tyres that he's on will comfortably get him to the end. This is a game of chess whilst everybody else is playing checkers. Razin Chai, another position around the outside. Absolutely stunning for our Season 5 champion, falling up the order.
Pulled past him like he wasn't even there. That is the difference in traction and confidence and grip. 13 laps. 4 laps on the hards for Razin, 17 laps on the mediums for Vince, and that was a non-contest as he continues to plunder his way through the field. I think he'll be in P3 very, very shortly indeed. Fabio, I don't think he's going to fight this all too hard at all. He's only 12 seconds now off the back of Lolano, pretty much half the deficit that he had when he came out of the pits. And now just with one car in between himself and the Italian Stallion, and that's the second Italian of Ricky 03 as he blasts past the McLaren. That is now back up into the podium places as the real hunt up to the 2 Ferraris now begins.
Certainly it does too. The question will come down to battery and how much grip those tyres are going to be able to hold on through the twists and the turns that you are thrown into in Saudi Arabia. Razin Chai already gaining a 10.5, 2 tenths of a second through one corner alone. And the chase, as they say on ITV1, is on.
Is indeed. What's the gap? 11 and a bit seconds, just under 11 seconds now, separating Lolly and Razin. This is where we spoke about the flexibility. What does Lolanova do here? Does he wait for Razin to catch him and then pit, giving Razin the opportunity to react to that? Or does he go early, try and react, pull a different kind of punch, and leave the ball in Razin's court to react and decide what he plans to do in the remaining 22 laps?
That is the question. If anybody has a magic crystal ball, feel free to let us know. It's going to be one to try and predict. If you want to try and place money on it, well, I wouldn't be a betting man myself. I normally end up losing, so who knows which way this race is going to go. Keep an eye on Concept 7 as well, not far off the back of that guy Vince, having quite possibly the race of his life at the moment as he stands in 6th place amongst a field of fabulous creators that are racing here in Saudi Arabia. But 12th season of Crazy. Can you believe that? 12 seasons we've been doing this, Tom.
No, so many different champions, so many different storylines that will continue to be written, of course, into the future, short term and long term. Remember Concept 7 last season at Mexico, I believe it was, did get his career best of 2nd place, driving the McLaren, albeit on equal or realistic faults, I should say. But that just shows that he's got a lot of pace in his back pocket, and now back on equal cars, showing that, seeing it come to fruition here as he's now up into P5, courtesy of that guy Vince, jumping into the pits to dispose of his medium tyres. Be interesting to see how quickly afterwards Tim at Marduk decides to do the same, noticing that as well on the yellow stripe rubber.
Tyres going to stack Vince. I think Grid Jokes will probably go on to the mediums to see this race out. If memory was serving correctly, let's see what the XII puts on that car. It's a brand new set of the hard tyres, so opting to go medium hard, I believe, for the XII here this afternoon. That's exactly what he has done. 24 laps on first set of hards, and he will take these roughly 22 laps until the end. It's going to be an interesting fight, an interesting scrap here. Razin Chai now within DRS range of Ricky 03 in front. Still 8.6 seconds to the lead, though. Don't forget our front 2 are chancing it unless they have to take that extra stop. They've done their mandatory stop under safety car conditions, but the question will be longevity on tyres.
41 laps on hard tyres. That's a long, long, long old way for both the Ferraris to try and negotiate. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do try and roll the dice, especially if it looks like Raz is just going to cruise up to the back of Lolly in particular and win by about 10 seconds if things continue as they currently are. This should once again be very, very easy around the outside. Once again, non-contest, and that is back up into 2nd place for the pole sitter. Less than 9 seconds. Now the gap up to Lolly and over, and this is where Lolly's just got to think about what he wants to play, what strategy card he wants to lay down on the table as Razin pulled his ace out under the VSC.
Ricky's got an opportunity to basically follow Razin along at the moment. I think as Jakey says in the chat, the Ferraris are going to need a safety car. You are almost certainly correct. They've got no hope of managing to pull this race back at the moment. I think they are committing to this long strategy here because as we saw with Razin, he pitted 20 laps ago onto a set of the harder tyres, and it's taken him that long to come through the fields and find himself in 2nd place. That guy Vince further back gets the better of Scotty Designs. Chappers peels into pit road for Team Williams, opting for a fresh set of tyres off of the mediums for the Williams car. And let's see what he goes on to. It will almost certainly be hard until the end now for Chappers. There we go. White Ford Pirelli tyres going onto that beautiful Golf livery. And I must admit, one of my favourites of the 2025 season.
So lovely as well that we've got the opportunity to run the different liveries. You know, Razin running the Miami spec RB car with the pink, looks absolutely beautiful. Chapper spat out of the pits almost into the path of Jorik van Heffen, then wants to get away as soon as possible because he might be hearing the distant sounds of flutes being played if he stays too close to the Haas through the opening sector, but a little bit ragged through turn 4 for Jorik, and off and away goes the Williams on his brand new tyres.
Absolutely right, and let's keep an eye all across the field. Concept 7 right on the rear of Fabio as they pull through the final few corners on this circuit. 23, 24, 25, 26 and 27. It's a lot of corners in a short space of time, but Concept 7 does not need all of them as he go around the outside. But I think we're going to see a similar fate here to what Fabio saw a few laps ago. He gets the move done in towards turn 27 and then gives DRS straight back to Infratic. And this should be a fairly easy overtake for Team McLaren.
You say that, but 0.4 per second over the line. This is not going to be a gimme down into turn 1. In fact, Fabio can't get close enough. Concept 7, I think he's looked after his tyres really nicely. We saw early while Fabio and Vince were going at it hammer and tong, Concept was very happy just to sit behind them, following in the footsteps, stay in P6 as it was there, baby those tyres a little bit, and maybe now just starting to bear the fruits of that as Tim Mardik and Safso 1-2 stepping past the second McLaren of Tukey, drops a couple of places into turns 1 and 2 as his hard tyres start to degrade that little bit more. Ben doing a decent job here considering the circumstances. 21 laps on his medium tyres, but still firmly running in a very decent position with some of his main championship rivals, let's not forget, either not here in Alex Gillen mainly or out of the race in Kareem 17.
Absolutely. I've just had it pointed out to me in the Twitch chat as well. There is an opportunity here for Lolly Nova to go into mediums until the end of the race, assuming he has 2 sets and that he's only used 1 at race start over 9 laps so far. He's obviously used 1 set of hards, but if he took 2 sets of the medium tyres, there is the opportunity to go onto a medium set of tyres until the end, and we're probably within range to see that strategy start to come into fruition here. If Lolly Nova does peel into pit road in the next few laps, Ben has taken his mediums 21 laps, so they will survive. The question will be, again, how much wear will they have in them right at the end of the race? This could go any way.
Got to be decisive, as we've said so many times. If he waits too long, going to get to the position where Razin catches him up on the road, and then he can basically do the same thing. If Lolly pits, Razin can come in as well, and then it is a straight shootout. Or Razin has the option of staying out and trying to hold on to that 20-plus second advantage. So that flexibility we were speaking about with the strategy card that Razin's played, giving himself so many opportunities in the latter stages of this race. Safso getting past Tim Mardik, Tukey into the pits as well for what you'd imagine will be his final stop.
Got some information from Mr. Carbaranic behind the scenes. Apparently Lolly is debating his strategy, just keeping an eye on what is going on. Tukey dropping down the order here as he peels into pit road for Team Papaya McLaren, and he comes out on a fresh set of harder tyres to see his race out here this afternoon. And again, with that 3-second penalty to his name, but Scotty and Gridjokes both have their own 3 seconds in front of him, so he could have an opportunity here to secure a good P10 finish at an absolute minimum. There's your tyres on the screens once again, ladies and gentlemen. Fresh tyres for a few drivers. Super Noodle Bagel, the most recent to opt for a set of the medium tyres. Of course, Super Noodle Bagel available at all good stores near you.
100%. P15 at the moment, a couple of points, 3 in fact the total. They'll be totted up for the Haas team, although Adam Sanson getting closer by the second to the second Haas of Super Noodle Bagel. But with those brand new medium tyres, that gap should be extending once again. Now just 4.5 seconds between Lolly and Razin Chai, is continuing to be even a second and a half faster, Razin, at this stage of the race on those tyres. As we say, another penalty goes the way of Super Noodle Bagel. That's 9 seconds, I believe, for the second Haas car, and confirmed to be yes by the telemetry there. Still lapping so quickly out in front. He's dropped Ricky to the tune of 6 seconds, who could actually be getting reeled in by Fabio and Concept 7. That gap was extending out towards 4 seconds, now under 3 as they trade blows once again.
Concept 7, as you said, getting past Fabio once again. They are not giving each other an ounce of space on that circuit, and keeping an eye on how they progress through. Still an opportunity here for all of our drivers to head into pit road as Razin Chai takes a good couple of seconds out of the lead of Lolly Nova on lap 33 of 50. We've got 17 or so laps to go in this Grand Prix, and Ben right on the rear with his good friend Safso, just hoping to try and work potentially together with the DRS that will be benefited to the white ball to make their way in towards turn 30.
It's still another safety car, I believe, that we can have. We've had 1 full course and I think 3 VSCs. Yes. So there is the possibility, which is maybe what some of the drivers are tentative about, trying to put all their eggs in the green flag to the end basket. Then we get a safety car straight away, and the strategy is absolutely screwed. But Razin was 1.7 seconds quicker on the previous lap. He's already taken a second out of Lolly on this lap alone. 13 laps is the difference, the offset that Raz has got. And we are getting into a position where if he wanted to be a bit cheeky, he could pit now, go for an undercut, and he'd probably be fighting over the same piece of tarmac as Lolanoba.
That is going to be the interesting strategy call. I think it is in everybody's minds as we see Infratic once again get the better of Concept 7. That's just the move in towards turn 27, which will allow the Williams that DRS down at the start, finish straight towards the first corner. And I think we are in that range now. 15 or 16 laps to go in this Grand Prix. The opportunity to pit looms over our drivers' heads as both Mercedes having a good scrap for 8th and 9th on the circuit. Vince and Matt 2-1-2. Razin Chai has come over at Team Radio saying if a safety car comes out, we're still in a good place. I'll tell you what, Razin, you're in Saudi Arabia, mate. You are in a fantastic place.
100%. Bustling heart of Saudi Arabia in Jeddah. 2.5 seconds now, the gap between Lolanoba and Razin Chai. That's come down by about 20 seconds in the 11 laps. On average, 2 seconds a lap faster. Razin's been even with the battling through the traffic that he had to negotiate. Came out in P9, I believe it was, just in front of his teammate, or just behind his teammate, then battled through Safso, Ben, Concept 7, Infratic, Datka, Vince, Riccio 3, now very, very close to getting back on the tail of Lolanoba.
Certainly is indeed. Tim Mardik not making any inroads as well on our Season 1 champion Safso. Still in 6th place, still running with his own race in mind. Let's not forget it's the entire field starting to spread out more and more and more as we progress through. Last time we saw a full safety car course, I think all the way a considerable number of laps ago now. And we have seen virtual safety car after virtual safety car, as you alluded to, 3 over the course of this 34 laps of the race we've had so far. We have got 16 to go in the Grand Prix. Still let us know in the live chat who you think is going to win this race, because I could not predict this for love nor money.
Really difficult. I think Razin definitely has to be favourite because he's just cruising up to the back of Lolly, still taking a 2.5 a lap out of the Italian stallion. Matt 2-on-2 over the radio. Back end starting to get a little bit loose there. He hasn't made his second stop in this race. Currently running 9th. He's just been dispossessed by his teammate Datkovic, who has made a second stop, as is Fabio diving into the pits along with Tiamat Mardik, who is eventually going to lay those medium tyres to rest. Long old stint for Ben, 24 laps on those yellow stripe tyres. He's done a very decent job to give himself a fighting chance, getting some very decent points. Mr. Aramco though, TK, what do you think about the situation?
It's certainly an interesting one. I wondered where you'd go with that for half a second or so, but Fabio and Timo Malik both out of the pits. New tyres for both of them and a split strategy amongst them as well. Fabio opting for the mediums, if my data's telling me the right thing. It's Timo Malik that's opting for the hard tyres. So let's see which tyre plays the favourable game. And there we go, just confirmation of what tyres everybody is running. Adam Santon's been on soft tyres for 10 laps here. I think this has been a bit of a nightmare race for Team Red Bull Racing, hasn't it?
Not been brilliant. Ben, I think, is probably looking at a P7 or a P8 in this race. He's going to have to try and overhaul about 6 or 7 seconds to get up to the back of Fabio, who we will be racing to the end. Medium tyres for the McLaren, hard tyres for the Red Bull. So that's going to be a bit of a tall order, especially with the pace that Infratic has had this evening. But look at the lead battle. Lolanoba, if he's going to make a decision, it has to be in quick time because Razin Chai almost within the 1 second window. And he is. Lolanoba diving into the pits with 15 to go.
So here we go then, race leader Razin Chai retakes from when he took pole position 36 laps ago. The Italian stallion gets it stopped on the marks, medium tyres going on, as was suggested in the Twitch chat, so fantastic call to whoever that was. And Riccio 3 also coming in, double stack for the Ferrari outfit, also opting, I believe, for the medium tyres. Yep, there we go, yellow Wall Pirelli tyres going on, and Ricky, after a brief pause in the box, can peel away and back in towards the race. Safso now up to P4, a fantastic drive for himself so far, potentially looking to take these tyres until the end, unless we see a later safety car. Of course, that can still come and cause our drivers a little bit of a headache, shall we say now.
100%. I was going to say as well, I would not be surprised if Safso does try and take this to the end, go for the one-stop strategy, and if there is a late race safety car, it's going to be absolutely loving life with a lovely bit of traction and all the tyres that it could possibly ask for. Lolanoba out in P3 though, 16 seconds, the gap between himself and Razin. He needs to try and overhaul in 14 laps. Fascinating to see what Razin's response will be here. Does he try and stick it out to the end now? Hope that Lolly gets bogged down, those medium tyres fall away just as he closes up to the RB. The pace that Razin had earlier on in the race when he was chasing after Lolly, that would suggest that Lolly should get there in about 10 laps maybe, if indeed Razin doesn't box.
I'm intrigued as well. We were watching on board with Safso for a couple of seconds there. He's charged up 100% of his battery. And I wonder if this could be in preparation for that guy Vince trying to launch an attack here as Lolly Nova already past Concept 7. 14.9 seconds to go. 14 laps to go in this Grand Prix. That's only a second a lap that he's got to try and gain, and we will keep you up to date as to how much he improves over the course of each and every lap. So I have a feeling those mediums, at least for the next 6 or 7 laps, will be so much quicker than Razin Chai's 14-lap-old hard tyres.
Yeah, I've got a feeling as well, as Dak Gavint's getting back past Safso, the ball suddenly switched into Lolinova's court. I probably echo what Razin thought there. Only 16.5 seconds, the gap when the Ferrari was spat out of the pit lane. And like you said, just over a second a lap. That's going to be fairly easy. Ben with the fastest lap. Ricky and Infratic debating 7th and 8th place on the road. That could be for a final spot on the podium. And at the moment, I think it's the McLaren that's going to get ahead of his former teammate Ricky. Infratic muscling his way past Ricky up into 7th. He can continue in this rich vein of form. That could be a podium for Infratic in round number 1.
I think it certainly could be. Fabio is trying to make his way forward, and he's making the Italian's life pretty much rather horrible at the moment as he stands in 8th place. He's making that McLaren car as wide as he possibly can do. He is defending like a lion here in Saudi Arabia, not wishing to allow Riccio 3 through to go and support his teammate Lolly Nova, who's already taken nearly 2 seconds out of Razin Chai in just this lap alone. And bear in mind, they are probably only just making their way through turns 19, 20, 21-ish. If memory serves me correctly, they've got about 7 more to go. Lolly Nova is flying here in Jeddah.
Completely flipped now, hasn't it? Because you would be very wise to put a decent chunk of money on Lolly catching Razin by the end of this race, if indeed Razin stays out. Look at that, 29.3, nearly 2 seconds faster than Razin on the previous lap. This battle for 7th and 8th on the road will continue to rage on. They're going to have to work their way through the cars in front. Concept 7 still hasn't made a second stop, might be going to the end. Same with Safso. Vincent Gridjokes have made their second stops, blasting around the outside. Goes the Ferrari of Riccio 3 to take 7th place back off the hands of the Papaya and Chrome McLaren. They might have to enact a bit of a truce once they come through the track, if indeed they are going to scrap and get themselves back up into 3rd and 4th.
Absolutely, and that is a lot of Italian words on the screen right now, none of which that I can read. So if you're Italian, let us know what indeed that does say. I have absolutely zero idea. Hopefully it's something positive for Ricky 03, but just to keep you updated on lap times, as I did promise slightly earlier on, 1.8 seconds quicker last time around was Lolly Nova compared to Razin Chai, and I reckon he's going to be able to do this. We will start to see that attack come into fruition roughly, if memory serves me correctly, only about 46, 47 in terms of laps.
More happy Italian words there for Ricky as he gets back past Infrati. They have caught up to the back of Safso and Gridjokes as well. I'm just thinking here, what does Razin do in this situation? I mean, he's kind of made his bed at this stage. He's going to have to lie in it. Lolly, you would be so sure he's going to catch him if he continues at this rapid rate of knots. He's going to be comfortably over a second again on this tour. That's all he really needs. The only doubt I have is the mediums haven't looked brilliant as a race tyre this season so far. The hards definitely the compound that are better. 1.1 seconds Lolly faster on the previous lap. Do we have a scenario where Lolly catches up to Razin, but then he doesn't necessarily have the tyres to work with? He looked a little bit unstable there through turns 1 and 2, kicking the back of the Ferrari out on traction. Do we have a situation where he uses up all of the tyre life, getting to the RB, and then he's got nothing left to get past?
I think that absolutely could be the case for Lolly Nova at the moment. He's putting so much wear through these tyres, especially all 27 corners here at Jeddah, demanding a complete traction control. As we watch here, Gridjokes battling it out with Safso, who tries to go around the outside, tends towards the inside line, too wide. Still they go here. Riccio 3 for company, can't quite get past either of the cars. Safso has to settle for P6 there. Gridjokes on P5, Riccio 3 edging at the bit to try and get past Safso. He can't on this occasion, but now he launches his attack round the outside. He will go through turn 13, and he finally dispatches the V-carb, but this Ferrari being held up has cost him so much time here, and Fabio now sniffs an opportunity to get past the V-carb as well. They were too wide for a moment. Sasso just holding it by the barest of margins, but the attack is well and truly not over for all of these drivers.
Widest racing ball in the known universe here. I think in the second attempt, Fabio might be able to dispose of him. He doesn't want to sit behind for too long. Ricky is at the moment bulked behind the Sauber of Gridjokes, but he does not want to let that Scarlet Ferrari flash out of his sights. Wants to keep tabs on him. Oh, Sasso nearly in the wall there. He was so wide out of 24. Safety car's been deployed. Look at that. I think it's a Haas maybe that's slow
Yeah, you're
in
right.
the first sector. That changes things again out in front. Razin, well, he's definitely going to pit. He's got the track position to work with as well now.
He certainly does. Obviously, the question will be, does he just have enough in the bank to try and pit and retain that front lead of the pack? And as we can see, front wing damage for Joro van Heffen span in the first sector just as they made their way through. I believe that's turn 9 and turns 10. But we are going to throw it over to Mr. Scott Taylor, who's got a little bit for our ears.
Alright guys, thank you so much. What we need to say from Creator Series, if you're enjoying the content so far, you're enjoying the race, please get in touch with us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, all of the above. What an amazing race. Give us in chat, let us know who you're wanting to win this race. Can Razin do it? Will Lolly do it as well? It wouldn't be Creator Series without having a safety car in the final 10 laps, so this is going to be banging. Fratic saying, why man, I'm staying out. He's not happy about the conditions, but this is what certain drivers have been waiting for, this last minute safety car. I am so buzzing to see what it is. Razin on 17 lap old hard tyres, Lolly on 4 lap mediums. This is going to be an incredible end, but please get in touch with us on social media all around and let us know. We wouldn't be here without you guys, and that is the most important part. Alright, thank you very much. I'm done.
Well, thank you, Mr. Scott Taylor. Pleasure to hear from you. And of course, we will hear from you slightly later on when we do crown the winner of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Let's watch here with Razin Chai peeling into pit road. XII Music gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit as well. Gets that slowed down. I believe that pit marker board might be missing from the inside after someone's slight deviation from the racing line. Let's keep an eye on Lolly Noba though, just coming down the start-finish straight now. Take position. No, he also pits. This is a bold call. It makes sense for Lolly Noba. Soft to the end, certainly well and truly within the fruition of the tyres. Don't forget Razin had used his tyres, well, the soft tyres, earlier in the race, so still will be at a tyre disadvantage compared to the Italian behind him.
Tyre disadvantage, but are the mediums the ones you want to be on? Razin did have a set of mediums or hards left, depending on whether he went for balanced or the harder strategy. Lolly had used them up. He'd used 2 sets of mediums, and he's used his set of hards, so he had to jump onto the soft tyres if he was going to come into the pits. It would definitely be quicker, you would imagine, on the restart, but it's whether those soft tyres do degrade. Can Razin just keep him at arm's length or keep tabs on him if the Ferrari does indeed get through, come back at him at the end of the race?
It's a whole rainbow of tyre at the moment. Tukey deciding to stay out here in P5, opting for track position, very similar to what we saw from his teammate in Fratic. They are 4th and 5th respectively on this circuit. So 17 cars remain here for lap 41 of 50. We are going to have probably an 8-lap sprint until the end, but until we get racing, and whilst our grid forms up, we've got word from Mr. Arabian. Carl, what have you got for us?
I've channeled the inner spirit of Josh Richards for too long. I have actually remembered to unmute the microphone. It's an excellent success. But it's been a long time. It's been a grace period, basically, where it has been just that ebbing and flowing of the DRS trains. We have seen interesting execution of strategy as well. But a few moves I want to pick up on. First of all, Fabio versus Concept. What I will say is that the racing room and respect left most of the time, barring Ricky's A4 with piece of paper, has been excellent. Look at this, side by side. You'd think there'd be contact. No, just enough space. Millimetric margins between the two, the McLaren and the Williams. In this case, the Fire Bro comes out on top. Lovely committed move there from Fabio. We then head to Razin versus Tukey. On those hard compound tyres he is. Fastest lap of the race already, signed, sealed and secured at that time. Tukey throwing the shapes though, he's trying to throw Concept off kilter. You can do that, but there's a bit of a compromise. One of those in question is that you can send yourself offline like that. Tukey all kinds of off-piste, and Razin is just going to skate his way on through. Switchback at turn number 2, but he's got the dreaded turn number 4 to deal with. And that is what he aims at now. Leaves plenty of space in order for no fumbles to be met. Razin Chai, clean as always, plenty of room in that respect, absolutely excellent. But this is the incident that brought out the safety car. We had quite a few drivers commenting while I had my ear to the ground, talking about the struggles with the rear tyres in particular on those older tyres. Yorick found that out to his biggest detriment. So he hits the inside curve. If you just touch it like that, if you don't either go fully over it or completely miss it, this can happen. The car gets suctioned out, and this is a massive tank slapper, tries to catch it, but it is into the wall, front wing completely gone, and that is what brought out our latest safety car. He then said he didn't mean, he had no intention at all of bringing out a safety car, and as you can tell, not much he could do as a passenger after that little curb smooch. But what a corporate finale we have on our hands. Excellent end for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's Razin versus Lolly, and who knows, maybe someone else will throw that down the ring.
Certainly made indeed. Carl, thank you ever so much, and fantastic work keeping us informed on everything that goes on behind the scenes. We are still awaiting our drivers just to catch up to the back of our safety car pack. Everyone from Scotty Designs, by the way, through Joran van Heffen, Super Noodle Bagel, Adam Saturn, and XII Music, who I believe could be lapped and stuck within that pack at the moment. I believe, yeah, just caught in amongst our train, which is rather unfortunate, just around his teammate Grid Jokes. So unless we do see some favours from our drivers, we will not be finishing on the lead lap here in Saudi Arabia. We're looking to go racing probably around that 43 or 44, depending on how quickly these Haas cars catch up. But Tom, this changes the game now. It's gone from what was a real challenge for Lolly Nova to try and charge up to the back of Razin Chai. We turn this into effectively a sprint race with low fuel now.
100%. Brings other drivers back into the equation. Ricky had dropped about 10 seconds to that group in front, or the duo in front. Gives himself an opportunity. We've seen that he can be pretty punchy when trying to make a move, especially into turn number one. The two McLarens 4th and 5th, albeit on the older tyres as well. They could be sitting ducks. Then you've got Concept and Vince trying to work their way through, and Tim McMarlick in P9 as well. He will not be sufficed just staying there. He'll be definitely punchy on this restart as well. Matt 2-on-2 had a run-in with the Stag at the end of the iRace this season. He hasn't publicly been seen since, until this very moment today. You can make of that what you will.
Certainly will. I'll tell you what, if I ever see the Stag, I think I will be running for the hills. It's not one to be favoured with, and if you haven't seen it, the RSC Prep Series, you probably should go check that out as well. Thursday nights are starting, I believe, next week coming on the 22nd of January. Some of your favourite creators back in cars that are yet to be announced publicly. So keep your ears to the ground for all of that good news. Chappers rounding the corner now in the train, just awaiting everybody else to try and catch back up with him. Scotty Designs just on his rear, and a rather fast and flowing House of Joran van Heffen storming up to the back of the pack, slamming on the anchors, just about, before running into the rear of that Aston Martin.
It's always worrying, isn't it, when you see Joran doing stuff like that. I remember, I think he was getting unlapped before last season under a safety car. Was very happy to drive millimetrically as close as he possibly could to the drivers that were letting him through, and just putting a few eyes on Storks as he went through it, and upsetting a couple of people there. But yes, it is going to be interesting. Lolly, is he going to be punchy on this restart? He's got the tyre advantage at this stage, at least, on the softs compared to the mediums of Razin. He's got to make hay while the sun doesn't shine in Saudi Arabia. We're going to be hoping it shines down on that Scarlet Ferrari.
You're absolutely right. Lolly Nova now eyeing up his challenge, eyeing up his rival of Razin Chai, with race control letting us know the safety car is in this lap. Then we are ready to go green flag racing, everybody. Get your final predictions in the live chat, whether you're watching Twitch, whether you're watching YouTube, Kick, TikTok, Twitter, in your mum's basement. Let us know in the live chat below which way this race is going to go. Will it be Razin Chai opting for potentially a charge on a second title? Will it be Lolly Nova trying to lay the foundations for his first ever Creator Series Championship? Who knows? All will be decided in 7 laps of racing as Razin Chai leads us tentatively around turn 27 on towards lap 44, and it's all in control of the pink car.
He was late as he possibly can. Doesn't want to have anyone steal him after he does. Pin his right foot to the floor. And to start 44, it will be Razin Chai that leads the charge, barreling down to turn 1. What can Lolly do? He tucks into the cinch. We've got to be careful of his team. And look at the big squeeze employed as well, as Concept trying to do one over on Tukey around the outside into 1. Outside 1 becomes the inside of 2. Doesn't need it though, because the Williams has already blundered his way through. At least Tukey can deal with that Cummins and Grid Jokes as well.
He absolutely does. Fabio got past Concept 7, couldn't quite manage the battle between the Williams, but he is still having the race of his life. Soft tyres bolted onto Concept 7. Fabio and Riccio 3 in front, still on the medium tyres. Lottie Nova on the softs. He's going to try and charge forwards towards Razin Jai, who still leads this race. 3/10 of a second now as we run in towards turn 13. It's going to be the battle of all battles to start off our championship in Saudi Arabia. We are under the lights, and this could only go one way.
The pride of Ferrari, Lottie Nova, multiple race winner in the Creator Series, but he's never really put together a strong title challenge. Could this be the time? Already the championship leader, 1 point compared to 0 for everybody else after his intermediate pole position. He could take the win here, will of course lead the championship outright after a race for the very first time in his Creator Series career. Tim Martin getting back ahead of Sasso up into P8 for the former two-time champion. That guy Vince all over the back of the second McLaren of Tuki. This could be like Charles play inside or outside. Has to be the outside. The space didn't present itself with a little bit of battery. I think that is going to be very, very easy. Tuki on all the tyres and push down to 7.
Don't forget, Daco Vince, of course, getting a race win, I believe, last time out in the realistic season. Now let's try and translate that to the equal performance season. Razin Jai sets the fastest lap of the race. A 1:29.217. DRS gets enabled with 6 laps to go here. Move further back from Joran van Heffen and Grid Jokes, making his way up in towards the top 10. Adam Sanderson finding a reformed bow of pace as well. Now that he's got a front wing and correctly applied tyres, can we see a last-minute charge from Adam Sanderson here as Riccio 3 dropped out of DRS? It is now a 2-horse race right at the front.
Gives Fabio a chance to fight for a podium as well. Watch for Concept 7. Watch for Vince and Ben as well. I fear for the future of Tuki. 13-lap-old hard tyres might tumble out of the top 10 and towards the lower reaches of the points. Remember, top 15 score points in Creator Series. Look at this. Lottie Nova wrestling with that Ferrari car. The Italian stallion so close. Following so closely through the middle sector. Razin has to keep his wits about him here. This is going to be a game as much as it is pace as it is tactical.
You're absolutely right. As much as this fight is going to happen on the racetrack, it is always going to be a mental battle as well. Where can Lottie Nova maybe try and force Razin into a mistake, get in his mirrors, maybe try and force the early break, the late turn, and all of those factors can add up one above the other. And Lottie Nova now in the groove in towards turn 27, round the outside. He goes with the DRS into the braking zone, round the outside of turn number 27. Razin Jai somewhat defenseless on that inside, but will have the DRS on the run down towards turn 1. This is chopping and changing every single lap.
Got the beam, fastest lap for Lolly. Which way do we have to go? It has to be the long way round for Razin. Outside of 1 will become the inside of turn 2. Just about rubbing tyres. Lolly on the outside. A little bit bumpy there as he grazes the barrier. Don't want to be side by side through 4. Definitely for the lead of the race. Lolly thinking about that 50 rather than 46. Opting to back out of that one. Doesn't want to end up like Creed did earlier on with a face full of your own front left tyre.
Not worth losing the race in turn 4 when you've got to think about turn 27. 4 laps to go after this one completes. You can count them off on one hand now, and our drivers will be absolutely thankful of that fact. But the 2-horse race still continues as Riccio 3 well and truly out of DRS range here. And I wonder if his mind is now switching from attack to defence, as Infratic still 0.8 of a second in the Papaya McLaren, continuing to close in on the second Italian on this grid.
Neither of them, remember, pitted under the safety car. 10-lap-old mediums for Ricky, 11-lap-old mediums for Fabio. The group behind, 6 laps on the softs for Concept. Same for Vince, 5 laps on mediums for Ben. He could be very strong on lap 49 and 50. Ben's had so many trials and tribulations today. Could yet still finish on the podium, very much in the balance for that final spot.
It absolutely is. The question will also come down to tyre life. How long can those soft tyres last under the heat? It's still only 22 degrees on the track. It's a rather nice 20 degrees up in the air temperature as we watch that guy Vince here battling with Concept 7. Vince makes his way up to P5. 7 drops down to 6 as Timo Mardik in that white ball still on the hunt as well towards the first corner. 2 wide. Are we going to make it 3 wide? Why not? Let's go 3 wide towards the first corner. Ben to the inside of Concept 7, squeezing the Williams to the inside of turn 2, and Ben gets the Tiger line. Through he goes. 6th place secured.
Picture bit perfect straight out of the back catalogue of Timo Mardik. He was always going to make that at least 3 wide into turn 1, wasn't he? He smells blood for these drives in front. 2 of them on old tyres, 1 of them not too many podium finishes for Datkovitz. Less than 5, I believe, in the Creator Series and Concept 7, just with the 1 after his 2nd place in Mexico last season. All of these 5 cars scrapping very, very heavily. Ricky's just got to try and cling on for the remaining 3.5 laps, but Fabio, he'll want to start his season with a bang on the podium as well, as will Vince. and Tim Martin making a statement in the championship battle too.
Let's not forget, nearly 9 months ago, Fabio made that bold and brazen statement that this was his game. Unfortunately, is yet to deliver on that promise, but certainly looking fired up here this afternoon as he swaps Scuderia machinery for Papaya machinery. As 4th place hands itself to Infratic, he's still got the opportunity to finish on a podium here at the season opener of Season 12. Very similar to what we saw 2 seasons ago when he made that original statement of finishing on the podium, if you can remember back to the start of Season 10. But once again, our focus fronts to the front as we see Lolly Nova half a second behind Razin Chai. Lolly with double the battery of Razin, apparently the DRS really helping the Scuderia Ferrari down towards turn 1. 3 laps to go here, everybody. Do not touch that dial.
Remember as well, this isn't like F1 24. If this was 24, Lolly could just sit and watch and wait behind Razin, blast past with a helping hand of DRS on the final lap. Not quite the case here due to the dirty area. He's got to make sure he doesn't miss an opportunity, doesn't misstep in this battle to take the first win of Season 12. There's absolutely no pressure from behind his leading duo. A big slide, big armful of opposite lock there. Lolly doing what, it was Yorick, wasn't it, over the curb. Big armful of opposite lock, had to catch the car, just making those rear tyres start to skyrocket in temperature a little bit as well. They'll already be hotter than the mediums. Is this the race just starting to swing for the first time in a little while back into the favour of Razin?
I do wonder if this is the soft tyres starting to find their match compared to the mediums. We know the tyre wear around here puts a strain on these Pirelli tyres, especially when you're trying to follow a car through 27 consecutive corners, pretty much all of them taken at high speed. It is a real test of any rubber on any car, as we watch with Timo Marnik trying to eye up a move on that guy Vince. A very similar situation to what we see in front, but couldn't quite get the flow through the corners that he would have liked. The medium tyres, the dirty air, not paying him any favours, but look up towards the front, 3.5 tenths once again. Every single time we see Razin try and pull away, Lolly Nova reels him back in and says, not today.
Closest he's been for a little while, going to dip under 3/10 of a second, but still as we start the penultimate lap, Lolly not close enough to make any real impression into turns 1 and 2. Late on the brakes, but you can see the car, that Ferrari is very, very nervous. Rear tyres definitely starting to lose that little bit of optimal grip as the tyre temperatures begin to move up and up and up into the yellow, maybe even the red if he's pushing that much harder than Razin in front. You can see there the understeer through the first sector, through the dirty area, battles the washout at the front. Razin, I think, is just starting to pull away here, stretch his legs as Lolly's tyres begin to beg for a little bit of mercy.
You're absolutely right. You can see how much he drops through that twist and turns of corners all the way up to turn 13. This elongated left-hander, which puts so much stress on the front right-hand tyre on both the cars. But as the tyre wear ages, they've completed 8 laps on these tyres already, and the soft tyres all could be starting to say goodbye as we see Lolly Nova, for the first time in a long time, fall out of DRS, and Razin Chai's got an opportunity here to go from lights to flag in the round 1 of the Creator Series.
Finito, I would say there, Season 5 champion. He knows this circle like the back of his hand. The venue where he won his one and only Creator Series championship up to this point, and he should be taking the lead, barring any maladies and any whoopsies on the last lap. And this is the strategy card we spoke about, starting on the soft tyres, gave Razin the flexibility to save a set of mediums or hards for the end of the race. Lolly didn't do that and left himself exposed. Ben, is he trying to expose into the final corner? Vince into the back of Fabio. Damage for the Mercedes, and Ben says thank you very much, lapping that one up, and now staring down the barrel is Ricciardo 3, and maybe losing this podium on the last lap because former 2-time champion very much within his clutches.
One final tour to go then here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Timo Marnik, his luck in the final few laps of a Creator Series race need to be studied as he finds his way up to 4th place. Up at the front though, 1.5 seconds separating Lolly Nova and Razin Chai as Razin continues to pull away in front from the Italian stallion, who's given everything here this afternoon but couldn't quite rely on the tyres at the final time of asking. The 3-stop strategy from our front 2 runners and a difference of tyres by just the barest of margins. But we'll keep an eye on Timo Marnik at the moment. Vince comes over the team radio, apologises to Fabio for what was a late brakes as he caused Fabio to drop down to 4th place. Timo Marnik now has an opportunity to end up on the podium as we run through this series of corners, 17, 18, 19, all the way up to 27 to finish off what will be lap 50 of 50 here but it will only go the way of one up in the front. But Tiamat fancies his name on a podium, and up he goes past the Italian stallion. The Aussie, the wonder from down under, finds his way to P3 at the moment, but he's got to survive 2 more runs with DRS. But focus surely will switch in a minute up towards the front. The Italians, who have dominated so far today, they say Rome wasn't built in a day, so Razin Chai lays the foundations for a second championship as he wins here in Jeddah.
Look at that drag race to the line. It was Ricky versus Ben. They were almost eyeball to eyeball. In the end, 700ths makes it an Italy, makes it a Ferrari 2-3 ahead of the former 2-time champ Fabio. Will be steaming, I think, from ear to ear after that. Being taken out of an opportunity really to get that podium because he was looking dead set for it. Vince comes home in 8th behind Concept and Saf. So Adam Sanderson taking P9 as eyes amusing, reserving for this race, getting back into more familiar territory as he does some donuts, struggling for grip as he comes over from the rallying world into open wheel. But Razin Chai, P1 baby, P1, the perfect start, and he played it beautifully as well.
I'll tell you what, if anybody wants to say that equal cars is not the way to go, feel free to walk out that door right now, because that is certainly one of the best openings to a Creator Series season that I have ever seen here. A double Italian podium then with Razin Chai, a British flag flying amongst the top as Chai takes top spot.
Perfect start, pretty in pink at the top step, but that will be a very encouraging performance for both of the Ferraris, won't it? Lolly coming home in second, started third, finished second. Ricky started second, finished third. Both of them maybe just stating their claim to be an outside challenger. In Lolly's case, definitely a firm challenger for this championship. Ben in P4, I think that's a very decent recovery drive. I have to say, the awards, by the way, cleanest driver, as it does quite often, actually, going to SAF. So Adam Sanderson was in the walls, battered his way through, takes the most, overtakes Tiamat Marduk, driver of the day, fastest lap for Lolly, and of course, race winner for Razin. Concept, there was a chance for him to be on the podium as well, comes home in a very commendable 6th ahead of SAF. So Vince tumbling to 8th in the final couple of laps ahead of Adam. And Grid Jokes rounding out the top 10. Tukey didn't pit under the safety car, felt the full force of that pain down to 11th. Ahead of Yorit, Matt 2 on 2, Chappers in the Williams 14th. And then the final scorer, Scotty Designs, by the way, despite his 6 seconds worth of penalties. Soup Noodle Bagel and Eyes Amusing, the last classified. Fantasy, Cream 17, Ryan L83, the retirees. As we head back to the one and only Scott Taylor and the lovely Carl Pranick. That was an absolute barnstormer.
That was awesome. Okay, that gave me everything I wanted to. Creator Series is back. Equal cars are back. That was absolutely banging. Carl, you had your eye and many pies throughout that race. Go on, give me a little bit. How did Ben Daly nearly fraud his way into a podium? I can't believe that to the line. Good on Ricky. He deserved that podium, but amazingly close for Ben, right?
No, absolutely. Amazingly close. He did say he thought he had the battery to try and defend, but ultimately, Ricky, he was always going to go for the move. And with that shorter run to the line, maybe if he did it a lap before, could have executed it, but woulda, shoulda, coulda. Hindsight's a very unhelpful friend. Still very close. It's 2 Ferraris on the podium and Razin Chai winning. How about that?
Isn't that mad? Now, do you have clips for us, I've been told?
Yes, I do.
Let's go.
So, let's just address, first of all, I have got the 3 points of view for the big one. But before that, let's just detox a tiny bit, because it all came down a lot of the time to, for instance, older tyres, or sometimes people just getting caught up in the mad dash. First of all, Concept 7 against Tukey on old hards. No real surprise in terms of the outcome of that, but Concept, I will highlight, a very, very impressive turnout today in Saudi Arabia. I am pleasantly surprised, in fact, at just how good